Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or any of these big trucks we're going to talk about, it does not matter what you drive. This is your All-Terrain Nation, and I'm your host, David Wood, alongside co-host Mr. El Bronco Santa himself, Overlanding
El Bronco Santa.
What is going on, buddy?
Not much. How you doing?
Well, I'm struggling to do a show tonight because it's rare that my actual football team, Cincinnati Bengals, you guys, if you've been with me a long time, you know, is been on kind of TV. So it's like struggling right now of like watching over here, trying to do this, and do Bronco or not Bronco talk. Geez, the happy hour, man. I don't even know what show I'm doing tonight. Right. What is going on, Tim? It's been a minute.
It has. Well, not a whole lot. Just getting some videos out, doing some shorts. I think I went over 175,000 views today on my YouTube channel, which is
all that. Congratulations, sir.
Kind of nice. Thank you. I'm not ready to quit my day job yet.
Well, you're getting closer though, right?
My boss is listening yet. Not ready to quit yet. But you never know what's going to hold. I mean, I might blow up like Mr. Beast or not. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he better watch out. But if you're new to the channel, this is the happy hour. We talk everything automotive. Obviously, we have a couple main topics we will talk about. But anything you got questions, comments, something in the industry that pisses you off, let us know about it. If there's something you're happy about, let us know. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm packing for a flight to head to Dallas, Texas. I've got my annual fall event that I do there in Texas, where a bunch of manufacturers bring out their fun toys. And this year's going to be a little bit different for me. If you guys have been with me for a while, normally my events it's been truck in the fall. It's always trucks. In the cars, it's spring, but in the trucks, it's normally, you get a taste of off-roading, but it's mostly on road driving kind of stuff like that. And wow, we've got royalty in the house. We've got Mr. Tim Esther. Tim, I probably still butchered your name, but Tim, if you want to jump in, let me know. I'm curious about what's going to happen because they're actually having an off-road event. It's a real true off-road segment now, so I'm kind of excited by that. I'm hoping to get some time in the old TRX, but I haven't seen the list of vehicles that are going to be there just yet. I'm sure some EVs and some fun like that. But
okay,
I will be flying out early, Tim, Sunday morning. I have to fly out at like 4 a.m. Sunday morning.
Is the bar open that early in the airport?
No. And speaking of that, I need a little bit of howdy doody. Pour me a little sip there, a little grandpa sip.
It's for medicinal purposes.
That's right.
YouTube moderators.
That and the margaritas I've had already. We're doing all good. But anyways, I'm excited. Obviously, I'll see Mr. Tim there with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Will be there, and I get to meet his editor and his guy that's sometime on the channel, Phil. I'm actually excited to meet Phil. Sadly, my friend Jill will not be there. We cannot compare who has the better running shoe, but I know that's exciting over here. But anyways, what's up, Nurse AJ? We got Bob Masters. We got Eric in the house in Peugeot, as always. Bronco 78. A Mobile Moto is in the house. I did appreciate Jim's comment. He said, we could only move the happy hour from 6 p.m., I'm assuming he's West Coast, to 4:20. So we'll work on that. If this was a full-time job, I might be able to facilitate those things. But anyway.
There's that saying that it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. We can just say it's 4:20 everywhere.
That's right. And so currently, I'm going to do this all night, but the Bengals give back the ball. The Finns are at their own 20. Looks like it's pretty.
Don't get us a copyright strike, Dave.
I know. I'm not going to.
I don't need the NFL.
You don't want the NFL up your ass?
Don't want the NFL up my ass. Although we could be doing fantasy football right now.
Well, we could be talking about that. But the white helmet Cincy Cycle says are fire, and they are fire. I'm so happy that Cincinnati actually you go to a Super Bowl and it's amazing what happens. So finally, they're actually going to pay attention to what fans have been asking for. But this is not NFL Talk Live. This is the happy hour.
Could be.
This is the happy hour. And
I honestly think you did this on purpose, picking Thursday nights during the NFL first game of the week season.
That's exactly why. My team gets a prime time game.
Yeah.
But Tim, first off, I want to talk about So everybody here knows I have a Ford Bronco that we have a lot of fun with, but there's been a recall on it, Tim. It's a pretty serious recall. This is it's it's pretty serious. There was a recall for the child safety locks on this thing.
Oh my God.
And
you know what? I'm going to do a video tomorrow. I got
I
to get
was
a video out on
worried
that.
that honestly, I was worried that I might be in the back seat at some point and fall out of the car. So, but I would probably had the doors off. But anyways, but no, what was cool about it was so Ford now has a mobile service where they have service techs will drive to your house for simpler things, to check out. And they checked my the recall on my vehicle today, and I was okay. I didn't need the service, but I actually like the fact that, I mean, it's the world we live in now. I think you're going to see more and more of this where manufacturers are trying to make the customers ultra happy. And a lot of customers work from home now, which I think probably makes it even more difficult for customers to get their vehicles to a service department because they're not, like I know Kelly for her real job is stuck at a desk, from like 7:30 or something till 5:30, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not as easy to get, if you don't leave the house, it's not as easy to get your vehicle there. So I thought it was pretty cool, man. Have you seen this yet in your area?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't received anything, but to your point, when I bought the last two cars, the one I traded in, the one that Emily still has, both Kias, we bought it from a dealership that was right around the corner from my office on the north side of Indianapolis. And the thought behind that is if we got to take it in for maintenance or whatever, I can drive it in, drop it off. They can drop me off at work. Well, pandemic happened. I start working at home. I'm 70 miles away from there. And now it's like, well, crap, I'm not going to drive all the way up to the north side of Indianapolis to have something done. Yeah. And,
Right.
and unfortunately, though, our closest dealer, it's on the south side of Indianapolis. It's still like a 25-minute drive. Now, the Bronco, I bought it at the Ford dealer that's 5-minute drive from here. So, that's fine if they want to come over here and do it, or I'll drive it over there. I'm fine either way, but I can see that, it's a valuable service. I know you get into some areas like, you see this a lot in Chicago where it's just a pain in the ass to get anywhere during the day. Where mobile services, they've been doing those kind of things for a long time, oil changes, car washes, whatever. They'll just come to your place of employment. So,
oh no, I remember.
I just see this as just a logical extension of that. And I think it's probably good business.
I remember in the late 80s, some mobile oil changing was starting to kind of happen.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I definitely think it's a good thing. I mean, obviously they're not going to jack your car up and get under it to do serious work, but just for little minor things, I think it is it's a pretty good idea. And I think you're going to see more and more companies do that. So that's not a bad thing. And we pay for these so much for these vehicles now. I think initially, it's costing maybe Ford a little bit, because I know Ford gave these vans to the to each willing participant, each dealership that was willing to do this or try this. So and I forget, somebody, I don't know if it was Allie or somebody was talking a little bit about this the other day, where some of the dealers were already trying to sell. They wanted to sell the vans. And I was like, do you not get like,
I think she said they marked the vehicles in such a way that, that they're not for sale.
Yes. Yes. But
it's like spray painted on the dash, and not spray paint. I'm just saying that, but I mean,
Ford was here.
Like, Kilroy was here. Obvious things like
right.
that are not going to make it worth selling the vehicle, because nobody's going to want that.
Right. Well, so Steven says just nobody wants to go to the dealerships, which I do not disagree. And Tim over there at Pickup Truck Plus SUV argues that, or says Jill argues that Chicago is actually a really good place for getting things done, which I don't believe. Especially if you're downtown Chicago. I mean, I'm not aware of all the dealerships in the area, but I just can't imagine that Chicago or any big city. I think this idea for what they're doing for a big city is perfect. I really do. I think that, yes, for especially big metropolitans, this is probably really convenient. But as far as I wouldn't know that a big city is ideal for this kind of or for getting service done. I've never lived in that kind of a big city though, so probably Jill knows best than me. And hopefully Jill over there is doing the Rebelle rally, so that's kind of cool. That that she's I think she's their navigator for this go around. And if you don't know what the Rebelle rally is, it's where they do you get a map, you get a compass, and you got to hit waypoints, and there's a certain time. If you're too early, you get deducted points. If you're too late, you get deducted points. You want to be, there's a certain, I guess on how they do these events, there's a certain time you want to be there. And I think this is Jill's first year, so it sounds fun.
Orienteering or is this in a car or what?
So they are in a Kia Santa Cruz, if I remember right. And so yeah, Kia sponsored them for this. Usually manufacturers, I know in the past there's been I've had some friends that they've done this and it's been not factory backed, but I think for the most part this is kind of a factory backed.
Okay, but it's cars. So because you said map and a compass and
yeah, well that's
yes, it was like orienteering and that can be interesting if you're out in the woods. And
sorry, I'm trying to do like 6 things here at once. We got Tim. God damn it, man! This Facebook's the way they've changed everything is just so upsetting. I don't need. I want my personal Facebook and my business Facebook to be completely separate entities. I don't need.
Mine are.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones.
You just got to have the goods on
the goods. It takes the goods. Is that what you're saying? You got to have the goods.
Yeah, got to have the goods on. What's his name?
Well, but overall, Tim, I mean, would you be interested in if Ford was, even if they were doing oil changes and stuff like that, would you be interested in having them come to that? And speaking of coming to us,
hey now,
we got Mr. Tim with Pickup Truck Plus Testerthal. Tim's been drinking.
No, it's the Twitter thing. Jill makes me do it. It's Hyundai, not Kia. She'd kill me if I didn't correct you right now. You
same company.
It's not the same company. It's
same company.
Longer spelling of the.
Yeah, it's like Ford. It's like Ford and Lincoln. Same company.
Tim, where are you at right now, buddy?
In a Motel 6 in an undisclosed location.
Yeah, that looks like a classy Motel 6.
Where am I? Actually, where am I now? I'm in the upper Dallas area. Upper Dallas.
Oh, so you're ready for the state fair, right?
I did that today. So
how did that go?
What is today? So
today is Thursday.
Right. So I left on Monday. I get home next Wednesday. So I'm a little bit lost on what day it is.
I understand.
Be careful, Dave, how much you want to grow your channel, because this is what your life looks like. This is a very nice. I actually laying in bed a little bit. I was like really tired. And I was like, well, he's screwing things up. But anyways, that's Dallas through thereabouts. Anyways, we are at State Fair today. I actually was having dinner with all your favorites. So Andrea TFL,
nice.
The Elmer stopped by with Truck King. Who else can I name drop here? Oh, Alex Dykes was there, and his new colleague.
I've
Brian
yet to meet Alex.
Shad Bulch from GM stopped by. Yeah, had a whole thing. GM Jeff Hunter's here as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a good time.
Will the TFL boys be over at the event this week?
No,
they're too good for us. I see. They've outgrown Texas, and they've been like, hey, State Fair, we gotta be.
Yeah. So no, it was fine. We had a bit of an issue because there was no food or drink.
What?
At the State Fair Media Day. Apparently this. So every year I come for the Media Day, and typically they don't open up the food vendors. And this year they didn't open any food vendors up. So we actually walked across the street to a really sketchy McDonald's. Phil was with me, so Phil and I walked in there. And you know what's sketchy? Because that security guard who was patrolling the grounds.
Well, you can't have those fries leaving, Tim.
I'm telling you, some crack hole walked in. She's like, "Oh, you cleaned this place up so nice. It looks so much better." And I was like, "Okay."
Wow.
So I'm here. My family is actually flying in tomorrow. And
nice.
We're going to do a weekend in Dallas, and then I'm going to transfer to the hotel that we're doing the truck rodeo in. Then I'm going to do truck rodeo. I was hopping on Dave to tell you, I'm only going to be at truck rodeo till about 2:00 on Monday. I have to go to Detroit.
You're killing me, Tim. I haven't got to see you in a while, buddy.
I know. So I'm telling you, if you get in Sunday, you got to like hit me up, text message.
Oh yeah. No, I'll be in my flight, Tim. Kelly booked the flight and we leave Nashville at 5 a.m.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I can't
you know how upset, like the last one I did in the spring was the same thing and I about missed my flight. So
yeah, so that's really too early. But no, we have to hook up. We have to really hook up before you get in because I have to go to Detroit Monday.
Ooh, I'm sure there's probably a fun reason for that.
GMC Sierra Heavy Duty is
nice.
I have a special hour and 15 minutes, whatever, in the design studio.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to leave at 2:00 to catch my 4:00. Phil's gonna stay a couple more hours. Phil's gonna do some more B-roll because that's what Phil has to do.
Yeah.
And then Phil's got a direct from Delta, but I wasn't giving my United status up, so I was like, get my air miles.
Well, I know poor Phil, like they've got that store kind of coming. It should be coming through his area. And I seen him post the other day where he was like, well, I'm not coming back home for a while. I'll just be on the road.
No, we've been dealing with that all day. So Phil's in Myrtle Beach. And when he packed for the trip, he packed a little bit extra clothes because he wasn't quite sure. We left, it was a tropical storm, and now it's hurricane level 1 or stage 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing. Anyways, we've been conversing with his wife and like talking back and forth. And it's really, he was going to fly back tonight and land at like midnight. But by the time he gets there, there's not much you can do. You know,
yeah.
it's just, she's fine. She's got the only problem is a dog. They have a little puppy dog. Mm-hmm. And so they have 3 flights of stairs to go down the dog to walk the dog. And walking the dog during a hurricane might be a challenge. I'm just thinking, let the door open, let the dog go pee, and come back. I don't know.
Yeah,
the dog knows good for itself. The dog will come back to your house because it's warm and dry. I mean, I don't know, but so that's the situation going to Myrtle Beach. I was in the airport yesterday, I think it was Chicago, and flights getting canceled left and right. I mean, this is Autodrillin's 101. So like the life. So I flew from Louisville to Chicago. I thought I missed my flight by at least 10 minutes. By the time I actually got my green tag bag, because I had carry on, whatever, got to the gate, I actually made my flight, but I had booked a new flight when I landed. So from Louisville to Chicago to Houston to Dallas, because that makes sense. And
yeah, of course.
And so I got in late last night, and then we had some went to the hotel bar and hung out a little bit, then went to bed, and then today we spent all day at the State Fair. Big Tex.
Hey,
Big Tex greeted us.
I have to normally I like to poke fun at Roman a little bit over at TFL, but I have to say he did an interview with Moto Man this week that was really, really good, man. If you have not checked it out, they talking why cars are expensive, and Moto Man, before you, Tim, was the guy that kind of I had a drinks with him at a bar one night. He kind of set me like on the course of where you picked me up to help me out a little more. Like he set me right. And I have to say, if you guys after this, of course, but go over to TF, it's their podcast. They have so many TFLs. I don't know how to direct anymore. But Roman did a really, really good interview with Mr. Moto Man. So, and it's nice to see Moto Man out there with his leg working again. And he had a car hit him.
Yeah, hit by a Tesla. Yeah.
But well, Tim, I have a couple questions. I know you said you can't be real long, but we got some new big boys came out, and this is your specialty. Like me and El Bronco Santa there, we're like novice to the big trucks, but this is your playground. We don't mess with your playground. So what we got the new Ram Rebelle HD, and we've got the new F Series the Super Duties out. Where are you at with these trucks, man?
And the Chevy Silverado HD came out too.
We don't talk about Chevy on this channel, man.
Nope. But they it was interesting because like Chevy sent the press release out Monday morning, and then Ford did their reveal. Embargo was later in the day, and then we did the State Fair at Churchill Downs. I was with Churchill Downs and did that. So it's very interesting. So the Ram, how do I say it right? Ram HD Rebel or Ram 2500 Rebel, you got to do it differently because they have a Ram 1500 Rebel, and so confusing as fuck. I'm scary. Beep. Confusing. All right. It's been a long day. Anyways, I saw the truck in person, and we did a video. And what's interesting about the truck is I don't know where the Power Wagon fits now. So it's really a confusing thing. The money is not very different. It's only $5,000 difference, and it's I think Ram really muddied the waters. in that way, and I think it's really confusing. And we'll see what the audience says, and let's see what buyers say. But I was trying to make the case to the Ram CEO, Mike Koval. Him and I were sitting there talking about stuff, and I was like, "So tell me why I would buy the Power Wagon over the Rebel." And he made this whole case how the Rebel was so good. I'm like, well, wait. I'm trying to figure out why I would buy one or the other, and so I don't know. I mean,
well, you're getting a lot of identical parts, right?
So you have two missing pieces. The Power Wagon has the front electronically disconnecting sway bar, and it's got a front e-locker. In the Rebel, you have rear locker, limited slip front differential. You don't have the electronically locking or disconnecting sway bar, and so you have a little less wheel articulation with the Ram Rebel versus the Power Wagon, but you do get the diesel option in the Rebel. But they still can't do a winch with the Rebel because the inline 6 is too long, and the cooling cables don't allow them to put a winch in the front without redoing the whole front end. So, and you spend about $5,000 less.
So according to their press release, they're talking about a 12,000 pound worn winch for the Rebel.
Gas only.
Gas only. Oh, there's no little asterisk next to that in the press release.
I know. I basically read the press release about 3 or 4 times to make it right. So the gas engine has a winch because they can do that with the Power Wagon instead of winch as well with the gas. But the inline 6 Cummins is just too long. The inline factor plus the cooling cables, so they can't do it. So I mean, you can get a diesel off-road Rebel, basically a diesel off-road 3/4 ton Ram in the Rebel, and that's kind of your only real off-roady option for the Ram. So it's a very interesting. So basically, I was talking to Koval about this a little bit, and when the Tremor came out, with the F250 Tremor with a diesel and a winch, and he told me they're working on this program way before the Tremor came out. But when the Tremor came out, they kind of solidified their decision to go forward with this, but they still cannot get the diesel to work, and so with a winch. So it's just a very interesting thing. And he said for a variety of reasons they couldn't put the diesel in the Power Wagon for whatever reason. So they come out a little bit differently. So, I mean, 370 horsepower, 850 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, the thing is a beast, right? So, I mean, it's going to be cool. It's interesting that they can't do the winch, but it just depends on people view it. Like, so tow hooks, right? You and I, Dave, have been through the tow hook wars. So how do you feel about the winch wars? I mean, it's a similar idea. I don't know. It's interesting.
I honestly, I think a winch in a lot. I think in a full size truck, I think front lockers a lot of times just nobody's ever going to use that thing. I mean, there's a select customer that's going to use that, but I think overall it's just a sales feature of like, oh, well, we have this, and I think the winch is the same way. I just don't think that. I think the guy that buys that is the same, probably that buys the Bronco or something. They want to look cool. They want to look. It's a hey, it's a status vehicle almost. And I've got this from the factory, this 12,000 pound winch or whatever it is. And at the end of the day, that thing's probably never spooled out.
I will say this: every 2-3 years, I get a Power Wagon, and I don't need a winch. But when I get the Power Wagon, some bitch I need a winch. I'm like, I need to move this tree log over here for some damn reason. I never had to do it for 3 years, but I got a winch, damn it. I mean, the one year I had a Nissan Titan XD, and I took Sweet out of the barn with the winch. So the Power Wagon, I purposely jackknifed the Titan with the trailer, and I pulled the Sweet out of the barn, my 62, with the winch of the Power Wagon and drag them out on the trailer. So I mean, I never need a winch.
But I think you're looking for a case to use the winch, though, more than I think most people that purchase a vehicle within the first 90 days are super excited about it. Then after that, they sort of forget that some of the features.
It's similar. It's similar thing. So it's one of those interesting questions. Like, but again, I think it's an interesting question about what the Power Wagon is going to do now. Like the Power Wagon is such an iconic name. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, so Ford has kind of muddied up the waters themselves a little bit because they've got like 3 new engine, or I won't say new engine options, but they're kind of all over the map with that. Where MPGO says here, I don't see the point of the new Super Duty 6.8 liter gas engine.
So I also talked with Ford today, interviewed their They have a weird name for it. Chief Vehicle Systems Engineer, some whatever integration. It's a weird title. And I point blank asked him, I said, so what's the deal with this 6.8 versus the 7.3? Why would anybody go with one or the other? Like, who, what's the deal? And unfortunately, Ford is behind in releasing the torque and horsepower numbers and the pricing.
Well, and I think Tim over there, Bronco Santa there, that was a big harp on you, right?
Well,
yeah. So going through and getting ready for tonight, I noticed that looking at the two press releases, it's almost like they're focusing on two demographics. Dodge was, here's our engines, here's our specs, here's our payload.
Ram, Tim. Ram.
13 years, Tim. 13 years have been called Ram. I found that again today. Well, 13 years.
Yeah. So 13. Ram is ramming their specs down your throat. And then I go look at Fords and they're like, oh, here's our tech. And it is. It's almost like they're focusing on two different segments.
No, well, but Ram always Ram brings the tech though. They love that big 37-inch plasma.
So Ford wanted to see everybody else's cards first, they can release their numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you think that is at the end of the day, that's just we can bump 3 more horsepower out of this or whatever. So we
The number's going to be, so you had 970 foot-pounds of torque. We have 975 foot-pounds of torque. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way Ford loves being best in class. They've loved being best in class for years. And so they're going to put that out there. But
honestly, that's the best. And it's in Ford's press release. And I do believe it, that they are overall the best selling heavy duty truck. And there's a reason for it. And I see it personally. I'm on construction sites daily. I see more Fords than anything out there. So they kind of know their market.
Well, they also discount the crap out of them, right? So I live by National Park, and all the park rangers drive Ford F250s. Mm-hmm. And I went and talked to them about it, and like, dude, it's $25,000. That's how much a Ford F250 is for the federal government to buy.
Right.
Because Ford's thinking is simple, right? So if you drive it on the work site, you're probably driving it home. You get used to it, right? It totally makes sense. But Ford owns a commercial market for a couple of reasons. First of all, they offer the most configurations possible. And so you can get any different configuration you want. Plus, they offer really steep discounts. I mean, and I'm not criticizing Ford here. Ford's got a great business plan. They have really nailed it. And so that's why they own what they say, they own work. They own work. Right. So, but yeah, to answer his question, I did not get a good answer from Ford at this moment as to why you would get the 6.8 or 7.3. And I told him, I said, look, I did a little bit of research and I didn't do enough research, but I think you're the only heavy-duty truck manufacturer that offers 2 different gas engines. I think Ram offers a 6.4 liter Hemi, and I believe that General Motors offers 6.6 liter gas, and they offer 6.6 liter Duramax, but they're the only one that offers 2. And I find it confusing. And I told him, I said, from a consumer standpoint, you have a 6.2, 7.3. That makes some difference. That it kind of makes sense. But now you have a 6.8 versus 7.3.
Yeah.
Like I know, and I get it. I know there's intricacies with the engine. I understand displacement's different. I understand it's very complex. I get it. But from a standard consumer standpoint, it's going 6.8 versus 7.3. You're like, that's 0.5 difference. I mean, that's what the customer's doing. That's the displacement differences. So it's very confusing to me.
It's almost like they're doing price points like they do vehicles, like an F250 to 350. There's you can get almost identical vehicles. It's almost a price point at some point. It's almost like they're doing that with engines now. It's like we've micromanaged the price point so much that now with which V8 do you want? Because this one's going to cost you $1,500.
I think the 6.8 versus 7.3 conversation has to be on hold. You have to wait for pricing to come out. You have to wait for horsepower and torque to come out. You have to wait for the numbers to come out because right now it doesn't make any sense. And I think that's very purposeful on Ford's point of view is that they're going to make it a little bit confusing at the start because just their rollout of stuff from a marketing and public relations standpoint. And then when the build and price comes up, it's going to make a little bit more sense to people. But until we get those numbers, it's just confusing.
Well, I think though that I really see Ram bringing the heat versus what kind of GM's at right now. GM, and I've mentioned this on my shows a little bit, that GM's a confusing company right now. They're all AV, but they know the trucks are their bread and butter. They can't just kill that market. And we've got a refreshed heavy duty with them, but I don't know, from the outside looking in. It doesn't look really like it's much of a refresh even. And you've got Ram over here, bringing something new to at least something new to that kind of heavy duty market. Ford, obviously, they know that super duty market, and they're gonna like you said, they're gonna discount whatever they have to do to keep their share of that market. And then GM's kind of over there like just throwing darts, it seems like.
Yeah, we had an interview with GM as well today at the Chevy, and so I had the Sierra on Monday, Tuesday, keeping things straight. I was interested to talk to the Chevy design team, the Chevy engineers, and talking about stuff. I mean, they made some changes to 6.6 gas. They meant 10-speed all the way across, which they should have done. They did some changes to Duramax. They have a new turbo that gets more more torque and more horsepower. A little bit better towing. The interior was the big, huge miss, and the new interior is so much better. I mean, I was even talking to the engineer a little bit off camera. I don't know if Phil filmed a lot of stuff today. I know it was on camera, off camera, but I was like, I said, finally, I have this 13.4-inch diagonal screen, which means I can see all the cameras. Look, you're here. I can see the screens. Yeah. And he goes, yeah, we were doing back-to-back testing on the old generation versus new generation. He goes, that little 8-inch screen we had, it looks so tiny now. And you're trying to see the cameras. You can't see everything. And so the bigger screen's much better improvement there. They changed transparent trailering now to work with a fifth wheel, which is pretty cool. If you haven't seen transparent trailering, I almost got an accident with that in Oregon because we're too busy paying attention to the damn thing, not watching the road, because it's super cool. Like, I don't know how the hell they did it, but they had like a team of like MIT students working on this stuff because it is super cool.
Is this the one that the trailer doesn't look like it's there at all?
Yeah, it disappears. Yeah, absolutely disappears. Yeah, it's slick. And so they have a turn signal activation with the changing lanes. But one of the things I made a big deal about, they finally have adaptive cruise control in heavy duty truck. And I was like, what a gigantic miss in 19. So really what you have is GM that's fixing all the things they screwed up with in 17 and 19. Well, they basically started in 16, 17, 19. So they make the changes, right? So they're fixing the problems they had. Ford adopts GM steps, but they do it, I think, a little poorly in execution. And they're just trying to get, the 6.2 replaced 6.8. And they made a few little changes there, but they haven't really. I didn't think Ford was as competitive in this refresh they have been in the years past. And Ram just continues to put out excellent products. I mean, the interior looks amazing. The exterior looks amazing. I mean, they offer more options for people who actually want stuff, and so it's a very competitive market.
I've said it for Ram used to have the worst interiors ever, and they did a 180, and I feel like Ram does some of the best now. I think Ford for the most part is pretty practical. But with their trucks, they could. I know they're proud of their little fold down table and the shifter that hides, but I don't know, something about the Ram trucks for me, they just appeal a lot more than
I think F-Series. So. The challenge with Ram is the commercial side isn't very strong. And that's going to be the problem, right? So it really does come down to whatever you drive to the job site, you end up driving it home because you're used to it, right? So if you drive Fords at work, you drive Chevys at work, whatever, you drive them home. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, it's just.
I quit driving Nissans though, but I keep driving one home, man. Like,
I know. I was like, you drive the Frontier, right? And then you add a Titan, and you have I mean, it's just a byproduct. You just get used to the vehicles, you know, they work. I mean, that's going on. So I think Ram would be a much bigger company if they had a stronger fleet business, but I don't think that Stellantis, not the drug, the company, doesn't want them to really do a lot with fleets.
Yeah, the dick pill can't help them on this one. Yeah, but no, I do think, is that maybe a European thing though? Because Ram, Dodge, whatever you want to call them, has been for the past 25 years, I think, kind of European owned basically. And maybe they don't understand the fleet side of it like we do need in America, maybe.
Well, I mean, the reality is this fleet doesn't have much profit. And so this is one thing Chrysler's always needed is a lot more profit. And that's why they keep getting bought out.
Yeah. I am still amazed.
The interior is better though. It's European influence on the interior.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure that was a big influence.
That's Ryan Nagoti. That's all Michigan. I said, if I ever start an automotive company, I'm going to hire Ryan Nagoti, interior designer for Ram. Done. He does the best things. Yeah. No, as far as interior stuff and things like that, the Europeans have really no say in Ram trucks. They really don't, because they just, I mean, and the reverse is happening, right? So Ram is going global. And so the reverse is happening where the Ram interior is now going global. And I think the European designers have to pick up the slack.
Well, I know that you're I don't know if it was Fiat. One of them is kind of upset with the American side right now because they plucked one of their little SUVs from the Dart. I think it's the Dart that they were all upset about because they're like, hey, that wasn't for your market. Stop stealing our vehicles.
Or
But
the Dart or the Hornet or
yeah, maybe it's the
the
Hornet.
Hornet. Mhm.
Which is another company. I know, Tim, you don't do cars, but obviously we're getting more towards EV, and I think you've said it before, and I think it rings true that trucks aren't going. The F-150 EV is a novelty act at best. I think in 3 years, people look at the current generation and are like, man, that was just fun, but it wasn't a truck. I think with the push now into hybrids or going more hybrid, I think FCA. Well, I can't. Stellantis. They seem to have this big push now for EVs, and with their 4xe, you see that kind of platform jumping into these big trucks anytime soon?
I wish. I really do. I mean, people want a plug-in hybrid in a full-size truck. They really do, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody's doing it, and nobody has done it. I think Ram's going to be like everybody else, going to jump the gun and go full battery electric. I mean, I have to. I literally should tonight book my plane tickets to LA because that's what Ram is doing in LA in the auto show. They release their
Yeah.
new battery electric Ram 1500, and it'll be promises in the year 24, 45, no 24,
Hey,
24,
the
or
great thing about
24,
LA, flying
45,
out
or
there,
35. I don't know.
Tim, the great thing about flying out to LA, there's camping everywhere.
Plenty of camping with outdoor facilities.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's plenty of places for you to stay. No, yeah, I need to get to LA sometime, but I don't like LA.
I go down in November and you go down the Staples Center and you walk along the beach and you walk in and you see 9,000 luxury cars, 9,000 EVs, and like 4
Yeah.
trucks. It's just, but the automakers, I mean, so basically California is the mid-sized truck capital of the world. And so they are mid-sized truck capital of the United States. And so there's always mid-sized trucks and things like that happening. I did a ZR2, 2 or 3 years of ZR2 in a row in California. Yeah, LA is interesting just because, like I said, you're in the Staples Center, whatever it is. And then you walk out and there's the beach right there.
Yeah.
It's a weird place. And I think Jill and I are going to have to go this year because there'll be some truck news there. And and Ram's going to do it, and they're going to talk about battery electric, and they're going to do it in California. It totally makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that does, the greenest state out there. Where do you, so with that happening, obviously you were just talking about that's not historically a truck event. We've got Ford Ranger coming up, is due pretty soon because I know production dates are late spring, early summer for the next Ranger.
Yeah.
At some point, better get on the ball. Do you see that being in maybe Chicago, or where do you think that Ford's going to launch their new midsize?
I'm trying to think now. So is Ford still doing auto show stuff? Every brand's a little bit different these days.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember what they did. Super Duty. They did Super Duty, and
that was in Kentucky because of.
Yeah, we had a background in Detroit though, so I got hosted to go to Ford in Detroit. I had a backgrounder, and then TFL and JD from Big Truck Big RV and a few other places did videos from the backgrounder, which I was told I couldn't do, which is a little frustrating. So I went to Louisville instead, which I actually liked that a little bit better. But it would make sense to do it in LA because, again, mid-sized truck capital of the United States would be in LA. I could see Ford doing a backgrounder and doing their own event. Ford's doing their own thing these days.
Well, but what makes me ask this is, Ford's had with the Bronco, they've had the EV Mustang. They've kind of had a mess of the reservation system, but I really do think reservations are here to stay. I think if you want a vehicle, you're going to have to jump in on that. I think I look for Chicago because they don't want to make people wait too long. I think with Bronco, it was, over a year wait, basically. People got antsy. I think they've kind of learned that lesson with Maverick now. And I kind of feel like maybe it's Chicago they launch. It's still pretty close to home. There's a pretty good, truck base in Chicago. And it seems like Chicago is a pretty truck-oriented show.
Chicago, I mean, logistically, Chicago makes sense. It's next show, big major show on the agenda. It's every automaker's doing different things with auto shows.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they are dying, definitely. Toyota's doing their own thing now.
Well, I will say this: auto shows are great for consumers.
Yes.
I think from a news standpoint, the auto shows got greedy. They charged too much for displays, and automakers pulled out. So you can't blame automakers. But I next year's gonna be interesting. So I did not foresee. I totally screwed up. I didn't foresee the heavy duty launches this week. Like all of a sudden, all 4 brands decided doing heavy duty launch this week. Like, where did that come from? I never.
Well, but usually you're all over the Texas State Fair, so I mean, usually it seems like that's pretty truck centric.
Yeah, I mean, we had planned that. So here's the deal: I planned on coming to Texas. I planned on coming to a couple places. I ended up canceling my flights because it got hosted by different ODMs because they were doing something in Texas. It's just kind of crazy how it worked out that way. So I didn't foresee the heavy duty trucks coming this week. I think next year for sure the midsize truck launches, right? So not only do you have Ranger, you have Tacoma, which is going to be a massive deal. I mean, that's a big deal for Toyota.
That's the king of all midsize trucks, man. Over 200,000 a year.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, the Colorado and Canyon are going to have some special editions. They're going to happen during that time period because they're going to fight.
Shouldn't they get them out before they have special editions?
Yeah, well, that's a joke right now, right? So that's the hard part with YouTube is every time I do some videos and stuff, the immediate comments like, "Yeah, well, can you actually buy one?" Yeah, and it's just unfortunate the way the industry is right now. I was told from a brand that if I put my name in, I could get a truck by year end, but I might be the only ones in the country to have that truck.
Oh wow!
So I mean, I'm trying to buy a truck right now, and I'm being stonewalled a little bit because I just aren't producing them. So I mean, I tell people all the time, like, if I'm having trouble buying a truck, well, look, you're gonna have trouble buying a truck too. It's just that's what's gonna happen. So there's a lot of concerns with that. It's not just semiconductors; it's rubber, it's rubber moldings, it's aluminum, it's tires, it's just so much stuff. I mean, I was in Michigan 2 weeks ago talking to some of the people from the GM facility, and they were like, "Yeah, we run out of stuff. You wouldn't even know." And like all of a sudden, the plant's closed for a week because we don't have parts.
Well, that's what I was hearing with Ford and their Bronco. Like suddenly you couldn't get tires for those things.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting. And when you get some downtime, you definitely need to check out this conversation with Roman and them, because they talk about, chip issues. And from my understanding is the chip companies told, and this is what, I'm quoting what they said, is, hey, are you sure because when the pandemic happened and all the manufacturers as a group sort of said, hey, let's back it down. We're not able to work, this and that. And the chip manufacturers were like, are you sure? And then you had the tire manufacturers over there going, hey guys, we can't ramp it. Like we don't ramp this back up like you want us to. And they keep complaining chip when it's not that. It's the little things that the little sub companies that they've kind of effed over that those guys can't just pick up and go as fast as they want,
So I mean, what really happened there is that during the COVID, car production slowed down, and semiconductor manufacturers prioritized cell phones, computers. Yes, that's what people were buying, and so because that shift happened, you can't just undo the shift immediately, and that's causing a bunch of delays. But it is true. I mean, it was ironic to be in Churchill Downs when I knew 50 miles away, whatever it was, 20 miles away was
Kentucky Motor Speed
at the speedway waiting for parts. I mean, I was when I was with GM. I mean, there was a guy I was playing golf with who was on the team to retrofit trucks. His entire job for like 2 months was to go out in the yard and try to get these trucks to, and they said that his problem wasn't the chip shortages, is that had so many trucks waiting to be shipped because the transportation companies aren't working on weekends.
Well, and I'm hearing they're kind of not hiring scabs per se, but they're trying to find anybody they can.
There's a bunch of those trucks sitting at the speedway ready to be shipped, but they can't. There's nobody to put them on. There's nobody to drive them.
Yeah,
it's just a bizarre place in the automotive industry at the moment.
Well, I drove by the Kentucky Speedway when I was going up to the Dream Cruise, and you could see trucks everywhere. You can see the parking lot just full up from the side of the road. You can see F-Series everywhere out there.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand this is that they can't house them at the factory. Yeah, they got to keep things moving. They got people, they can't just close down because they're missing one part in one truck. Mm-hmm. They got to keep producing these and retrofit them later. That's just what automakers have to do. And so,
but it's funny the speedways that they use, because I know Nissan here locally uses the Nashville Speedway, and they'll just be full of Nissans. You're like, what? okay, I guess this is the safest possible. But like you said, they're made for on-time delivery. They're not made for let's store these for 3 months at a time.
Yeah, so I visited Bilstein in Hamilton, Ohio, which you should go, by the way. That's a really cool facility. And I was talking to the CEO there, and he's like, look, he goes, the bottom line is this. He goes, everybody is waiting on parts. We were waiting on parts. Bilstein can't build enough shocks, right? Everybody's waiting on parts. But he goes, nobody's doing just-in-time production anymore because you just can't. You just got to build what you can build. But he says, look, he goes, my goal out of all suppliers, I just don't want to be last.
Yes.
If I'm the last guy they're waiting on, that's really bad. I can be second to last. I can be third to last. Doesn't matter. But I can't be the last guy. He goes,
yeah, you don't want to hold it. You want to be the guy holding it up.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of kind of holding up, I don't know if you covered this or not, and this is off topic from what, obviously you popping in, but did you see Nissan was having some issues with transmissions?
I didn't.
Did you not? Have you not been following the automatic transmission issues they've been having?
I have been.
They put a stop sale.
Planes and trains.
Well, 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago now, they put a stop sale of trucks.
Was that the Z?
Well, the Z, the Frontier, and the Titan.
So the Z, Frontier, Titan. I'm sorry, they can't do the automatic.
So yeah, the Z, Frontier, and Titan all use the same transmission, and it's a Daimler transmission. I mean, they're building it, but it's a Daimler design transmission, and the vehicles were popping out of park.
Oh yes, I did see. I think we ran a recall on that, if I recall. I don't know if I or whatever. Well, I mean, it's so odd, right? So, like, did you guys see the story of the Ford Blue Oval?
Yeah, they can't get the badge.
They can't get the badges. There's Ford trucks sitting at the speedway because they can't get badges to put on the truck, send them out.
Yeah, seems like that's one that you could just ship to the dealer and like, hey, can you put these? We'll ship them out. Can you put these on?
Yeah, no, I mean they can't get them. They
probably because it's got the camera in there. That's why they couldn't just ship them to the dealer.
Well, yeah, maybe the camera
probably falls into that safety thing.
Is the sonar? No, it's not the camera, but isn't the sonar the adaptive cruise sonar? Is that behind the logo on Ford trucks? I can't remember right now.
I thought it was in taillights.
No, so Toyota's got a brick that goes below the logo that basically is the sonar. It's on the grill. I can't remember. A lot of brands put it behind the logo. They put a sonar for adaptive cruise behind the logo. Is what brands do. So I think it's the camera. Tim's right. The camera is actually, but the camera's above the logo. It goes like this, pointing down, because that's your frontal camera. But it's that sonar system for adaptive cruise control, which allows you to keep the vehicle in front of you as you're on the interstate.
On my Ford, it's in the bumper.
But the vehicle is it in the front bumper? It's got to be the front bumper then.
Front bumper, yeah.
So I had a Ford Ranger. I had to pull over and clean it because it was actually in the grill. I'm not questioning. I legit don't know where the Bronco adaptive.
Yeah, my last car, it was integrated into the grill.
But you have your parking sensors on your bumper, right?
Yeah.
Those are the little discs.
Yeah, the little knobs.
Yeah. I don't know where Ford puts it on the Bronco, but some brands like Toyota, if you look at a Toyota Tacoma, it's very clear. It's this black brick looking thing.
Yeah, I've seen
below the logo, right? And so it just depends on where the brand's putting it. But yeah, I don't know where the Ford is doing it on the Super Duties or even the F250. I don't remember.
Well, I did see one cool thing of the new Super Duties they're doing is where you can drop the tailgate and they've got the camera on the top of the tailgate now, so you can for fifth wheels and stuff. That those are the little things that the average consumer probably don't think about, till you have it. It's a lot of the safety features. Till you have these safety features, you really don't think about how useful they are. But for that, if you're towing quite a bit, what an interesting feature.
Yeah, Ford's number one in trucks, right? I mean, the F Series, best selling, whatever. It's easy to throw stones at the top guy, right? But Ford does a great job of pushing the market forward. They do a great job of coming up with little innovations that really push things forward. And they made a big deal about that as far as that camera. And it's a common sense thing. It totally makes sense. They had that. The bumper steps were really, 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 really interesting. That was really interesting. So the bumper steps in the Super Duty, right, match the GM's bumper steps. But Ford did not discuss that in the press release. And I had to get the engineer today to actually talk about it because they don't talk about those bumper steps.
Just because it's so similar to what the other guy was doing?
Yep.
And it's a reaction. They have to, because obviously they felt like they might be losing some sort of sale to that.
It's a simple solution. Why not do it? I love KISS solutions, right?
Mhm.
This is a very simple solution, right? Because the tailgate ladder step system mostly works, mostly pain in the butt, right? But
Yeah.
the step that gets in the bed is so much better. I mean, so much simpler and faster to get in the bed than it is drop the tailgate and do that kind of thing. You have to hand it to Ford. Ford does little innovations like that, and they do things like the camera system going down that makes a lot of sense. I was really impressed. So this happened. This is what happens in my job, right? So I was it Monday or Tuesday, whatever, I did the video on the Super Duty, and they have a new navigation system that takes into fact towing, right? So if you have a trailer, you put the trailer specifications in the system, and then when you do navigation, it actually keeps you from driving down low bridges or tight turns. That way, if you have a fifth wheel trailer, you're not going to like go through the corner. You have to do like 17-point turn to get around a corner, right? I mean, nobody wants to do that, right? And so they put a navigation system. And so I was like, that's a really cool thing, because that makes driving a lot easier, right? So you put the navigation in, and the map knows how long your trailer is, how wide it is, and avoids those routes. Cool. So I do that video, and then I do the Ram press conference today, and they put a little snippet into the press conference that says we have navigation with towing. And so I worked with them, and I was like, so you have navigation with towing, huh? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, that was a response to Fords. And they're like, no, we didn't. Yeah, we just kind of always had that, and we just never made a big deal about it. And so, I mean, that's what happens to automakers all the time. Like I never knew that Ram had navigation with towing built in a system. It just wasn't anything in the press releases, nothing to talk to me. But today on the 47-foot screen in 27 bold type footing, they had towing navigation built in combo. And so, yeah, I made a point to ask him that question. And then we had a question about that, and we had a question about, this is really interesting. So Chevy has new innovation with GCWR, so gross combined weight rating. They actually have an alert in the truck when you're over GCWR. And so I was like, how does that work? And the engineer told me, he goes, actually, this is a funny question. He says, we had a backgrounder on Monday, which I was actually driving to the airport and I missed. But he goes, the Friday before, all the engineers are on call, and they're all like going through the details of the backgrounder on Monday. And they're like, wait, how does that actually work? So the engineers had explained to other engineers how it works. It is was it force equals mass times whatever the equation is. So basically, this is the ingenious thing. If they realize that the truck is struggling with torque at certain speeds and horsepower at certain speeds, they will alert you the truck's overloaded. That's their math. Their math is if F doesn't equal MC squared, whatever the deal is, if the math doesn't work out and you don't have enough force to be able to move that truck forward, then obviously with that much weight on it, you were overloaded. I know. I was like, you don't have a onboard scale? I'm like, no, you don't have any hookup? No. The idea is if you are really struggling to drive to tow with that truck, they're going to alert you and say you're over the GCWR.
Well, and then eventually the federal government steps in and stops you from driving your vehicle because it sends some notice out. And
yes, eventually it becomes mandated safety technology that you can't override because the government's going to, it all can go downhill. But I was really interested to hear how that worked. And yeah, he had, again, your audience is going to be mad at me. I don't know the exact formula, and it's in my video that goes live whenever Phil gets whatever, whenever we get it publish it. But he actually talked about this, is that they tied it to the horsepower and torque. And it kind of makes sense, if you're towing over your truck's limit and your truck engine is struggling.
Yeah.
Then obviously,
well, now you have all these weight sensors where it's a selling feature of like, it can tell you how much load you have in no, that just feeds into the computer, that it's just doing its job, and that's a secondary function of it doing its job. Was like a sales feature of like, we can tell you how much load you have in this vehicle.
Oh, I mean, the onboard scales are such a joke. I've used them so many times on Ford. I mean, it's fine, but it doesn't give you an actual weight.
Right.
It just gives you like it's a bar graph, and it just shows you. So you can't actually throw. It's not a scale per se. You can't throw like a bunch of logs in the back and actually know how much the logs weigh. It just tells you are over the limit or below the limit or whatever.
Right.
It's a dummy gauge.
Well, there's a lot of dummies driving these things. So.
F equals MV up caret 2, whatever that means.
Oh, is that yeah.
Maybe that was MV squared.
Force equals mass times whatever.
Velocity squared.
Yeah, it's something like that. I'm not a math guy or science guy, so I didn't quite get that one. But
you're a truck guy, man.
But look, I tell you what I am. I'm a video guy. He said in the video, I have it on video. That's all I need.
So I was looking at a front shot of the new Super Duty, and that sensor looks like it's basically in the same spot of the bumper that the Bronco's in. It's basically right in the middle of the bumper, in between the two tow hooks. And somebody had mentioned in the chat that on their 2020 F-150, it's in that same spot.
Yeah, I don't remember what brand. I mean, again, every brand does a little bit differently, but yeah.
And then also the big Ford emblem, the big satellite dish emblem on the front. You can see that below the logo, there's a hole for for the forward camera. But I'm assuming that's probably a similar camera like we've got on the Bronco, where you can kind of see what's out in front of you as you're driving. It's not part of the safety system, where we also have the camera up in the behind the whatever that cluster is there at the top of the windshield. That's more for the vehicle safety.
Yeah, I'm trying to get on. I'm gonna get on media for because I'll look at that a little closer. Because one of the interesting things happened today was I have discussed with my colleagues, and people have argued a lot with us about cooling. Yeah. And every heavy duty manufacturer taught me the same thing, that they've widened the grill, they've made the grill a little taller for better cooling.
Yeah,
that's just legit why they're doing it, for better cooling. That's what's happening.
Well, yeah, because these Ford motors are so restricted anymore as far as the regs, the Fed regs they put on these things, but yet they still have to perform. They have to every year. Your numbers have to be bigger and better. And yeah, you've got all these intercoolers and everything out there now. Like if you're not keeping this vehicle cool, it's not going to perform at all.
And I need to do more research on this. I said to one of the Ford engineers, I said, with heavy duties not being emissions tested or fuel economy tested, why do you even do the air dam?
Yeah.
And he said to me, he says, "Oh, we have emissions testing for heavy duties." And I'm like, "No, you don't." Like, according to the last, you have a picture right there too. Is there? I'm trying to figure out where the camera is at. There's a camera right the emblem, yeah. So in all my years of covering the automotive industry, I thought heavy duty trucks were exempt from emission standards, and I know they're exempt from fuel economy, right? So you can't get a fuel economy number on the sticker because they're exempt from that. And I'm surprised that he made that point out, because I don't think it's true.
YouTube Car Spotters Guide says that California does test, so maybe there's state testing emissions that they have to adhere to. Certain states, jurisdictions.
Yeah, carb board is
golf course, HOAs, those kind of things.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. So, like in the Tremor package and in the XL off-road package of the F250, they actually have a raised air dam. They actually take it up a little bit because you're off-roading. You don't need it as much, I guess, emissions. And so, I was surprised by that, because I thought that answer was a little, I don't know. It's interesting.
Well, so are they still doing? Are they doing a solid axle under these still? It looks like.
No, so the chassis of the Super Duty hasn't changed. Nothing of the frame chassis has changed since.
Yeah, it's just the cab that changed,
or 19, something like that. The cab is so. What you need to do? Here's what you need to do. You need to go to media.ford, and there's a video. Have you done the video that shows differences between the 2020? What are we at? 2022 versus 2023. There's a really good video that is like a minute and a half long, that literally shows the differences. I don't know if it's on. Let me check the video. I'm on the media site too. Let me look.
Hey, while Tim's looking that up, Dave, Brian Johnson on Facebook is asking if you can give a score update. He says he sees you. He says he sees you side eye in the game in your other monitor.
12-14 right now. Bengals still at 14. So yes, no, who day? No, honestly, I haven't. Man, I've been so busy. I haven't had a chance. And this is obviously the Super Duty is not my crowd necessarily, though. I will have a thoughts video on this.
Go to videos, and it's the 2022 Super Duty, all new 2023 Super Duty. You have to mute it. It's got some music to it, but it's go on the media page, go to videos. It's red.
Okay.
So open that a little more, view a little more, right there. Click that red one, turn the sound off, and hit play. Sorry, I'm not telling direct you what.
No, it's fine, Tim. I'm. So you're just.
This is a really good video to show you the differences.
Tim's coming in here like a boss.
I know.
He's telling Dave what to do.
Yeah.
Well,
Having Kelly on the stream.
This is
my mirror is
2022. This is not the new one on the screen. That's 2022 model, right?
Yeah.
And watch it. So it'll turn the corner, and then they pause the video, and I think the cab is a little bit different. I see them side by side, but all right, come on, finish driving. There's a long one, a short one, but this one right here, stop right there. That's what you want to watch. So they'll bring it across. So there you go. So it feels like the cab is a touch taller, and you'll see this. They do a side profile too. You can see that the grille is narrower and wider for more airflow. The C-clamp headlights, right? Watch the side. Watch that side. I mean,
it does maybe the window's a little bigger.
Very, very minute, but right by the door jamb and stuff, it seems like it goes up a little bit. I don't know. It could just be me when I saw it, but it feels like right there. The window height has changed a little bit or something like that. There's more sheet metal on the door. I don't know. They didn't discuss it, but I don't know. Maybe a different color. That's why I'm seeing it differently. I don't know. It really interesting.
It definitely looks like the hood is definitely taller.
Yeah, it just looks like it just seems like everything's a little bit raised by. I'm telling you, like 1/8 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch. Nothing really massive.
Right. Well, but hey, every inch matters anymore, you know, and especially for these vehicles, people are sitting in for long periods of time. So,
and let's see, you can see the tail light. So see that tail light on the back on the left-hand side there. See those little bit of white lights there? That's your onboard scales. Those will light up when you put stuff in the bed.
I mean, I know right here's the sonar for some of the safety features.
Yeah, the blind spot sonar, that kind of stuff back there. It's interesting because actually that tail light by itself is like twice as expensive as the tailgate. Because they have so much technology in the tail light, right?
Right.
Well, look at there. The logo's bigger. That's what really matters.
And Super Duty is now superimposed down below. It's still on there, but yeah.
Yeah, I am. I'm so over the stamping of these vehicles with in the tailgates. Like, so that's the thing with me and Raptor. So the new Ranger Raptor, obviously, I'm a big fan of what it's going to be, but they stamp Ranger in the Raptor, and then they have this horrible Raptor decal over here. Then you got something over here for 4. Like, I'm just like, look, man, I just need small. We don't.
Everglades. It's the Everglades all over again, Dave.
I guess, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm obviously the F series is pretty sharp. I'm still torn though, like you. I think let me pull this image up if it'll pop up here.
While you're looking there, YouTube Car Spotters Guide says you need to watch the premiere to learn, Dave.
I need to what?
You need to watch the premiere to learn.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
Actually, someone tell me they actually like my video better than premiere video.
Really?
Well, I was talking to Phil about this. I always have to rewrite the press releases because I think the important stuff they either don't mention or they put at the end.
Yeah.
And it's like they want to talk about but I'm like, I need to. You have steps. Like the Ford press release didn't mention steps at all. Like I'm like I have to. That's the stuff I want to focus on.
Well, but you're approaching it as a real consumer of that vehicle. You're not approaching it as a PR guy that wants to hit the fun screens.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the
best in class, first ever. Yeah, those are all
people look and I think you were talking about this the other night in the other stream, Dave. More of a trusted advisor when they see a salesperson or they see a representative of a company, the one thing always sticks in their mind. They're trying to sell me something. Somebody like you, Tim, that you're doing these reviews or other review channels, you're not really trying to sell them the product. You're trying to review it. So when you talk about things, it comes more authentic. It comes more, there's not a motive behind it. I mean, there is, you're a journalist, but you're not trying to sell them something. And I think people tend to be a little the walls down, a little bit more at ease. And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Hold on.
Dave Alley, the boss, said, or Du Bois, whichever way you pronounce it.
Dubois, as I like to say.
Du Bois. She says, you want to Ranger Raptor?
So Tim, Esther, like Allie for a Ford dealership in Detroit there, and I'm on their list. I keep bugging her every stream when
you're on a list, buddy. You're some kind of list.
No, I'm first on the list, sir.
That's something list.
Ranger Raptor. But before I do want to ask you a few things about the GM Twins, man. Where are you at with the little trucks? Were you bummed that it was only a 4-cylinder option? You know, we get the new ZR2. You would think at least the ZR2 would have something fun engine wise, and it's all tuning.
Was I bummed? Yes. I mean, I love the diesel, right? I think the diesel was a good option.
I think it's a great looking vehicle. Both of them are great looking trucks.
You could definitely have the sense that GM was pulling back a little bit because they're not offering as many. It's crew cab, short bed, this engine, that's it, right? And so the work truck customer is getting screwed, right? There's no work truck option. I was disappointed because I want to see more options, but I understand the marketplace, right? I understand the direction you're heading. So, you know, the fact that they're allowed to make a Colorado again is great, because I think with the current trend that they probably were like 50 if they can do another generation. You know, I mean, there's just the market is not the market. I want to say it differently. The company's focus is changing. I don't believe the market has really bought into the new company's focus. And I don't give a crud about governments, and it's all worldwide governments anyways. I mean, it's not U.S. government anyways. So it's everybody. The worldwide governments want to do more battery electric. Automakers are making statements about doing more battery electric, but the consumers haven't had their say yet. And I'm really concerned for these companies when consumers have their say, whether they're going to choose correctly. And I don't know. I mean, I honestly would like to buy a ZR2. I've thought about buying one. I've talked to the GM team about buying one. You know, I don't want the stupid sports sale bars, and I don't want the freaking dumb bull bar in the front. I mean, my God, the 80s called. They want their equipment back.
That bull bar in front is horrible.
Oh, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And so, I mean, I'm going to unbolt that and toss it in the junkyard immediately if I buy one. So yeah, I mean, so it's like, I wish there was more choices. I understand what they're doing. I'm a little bit mystified by this whole approach to everything's got to be off-road oriented. You know, it's like I was saying something in the video once. What was I doing? I was doing the Maverick. I saw the video for the Maverick Tremor. Okay, but my point of view on this Maverick Tremor was the video that Ford shot with this video was a typical forest scene with a dirt pile.
Yes.
When you look at the Colorado and Canyon videos, let's go Baja in the desert. Yes. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had a nickel for everybody driving in desert Bajaing, I'd still be a poor man. It's just not a big enough demand there, and it's like I don't need to see one more truck Bajaing in the desert that won't ever Baja in the desert.
Yeah, I mean, but to that point, Tim, to that point is Ranger or the F-150 Raptor. How many times? Who all's taken those to the desert? Nobody.
I mean, the TRX, the Raptor, the Colorado Twins. I mean, the Tacoma even as well. All we see are desert scenes with these trucks. And there's a lot of desert in the world. I get that. There's not a lot of people taking these trucks in the desert.
Yeah, but I don't want to be downtown Nashville like showing one of these things jumping a skyscraper. I mean,
I think they're trying to sell a lifestyle, and people being cooped up for the last couple of years. You know, that has drawn a lot of people that I'm working from home. Why do I got to stay at home? I'm going to get out. I'm going to go. I'm going to work from the road. And I think they are seeing what, you know, they're responding to what people are showing an interest in. And that's kind of that lifestyle change of getting out. And I think that's why you're seeing more of those type videos. And to your point though, how many desert racing things are there? I mean, not too many. It's only a small portion of the United States.
Right. Well, but even that, you're up in Minnesota fishing and you're going to go camping. Give me B-roll of driving through a forest. Give me anything else besides driving in a darn desert doing as fast as you can.
But even to that though, look at the trimmer package. Who needs an F250 trimmer? Like at no point am I ever seriously taking that vehicle off-roading. But it's a sales package. It's exciting. I'm never taking I'm never taking an F-150 off-roading. Like and is a guy on an oil pipeline going, let's see, trimmer package or actual Super Duty? They're going Super Duty all day long. And now Ram's doubling down with Rebelle, which I think Rebelle is a good package for Ram. I don't know that they needed the HD version. And then, like you were saying earlier, Tim, like it's confusing now with the 2500 or the Power Wagon. Like,
yeah, I see a lot of off-road heavy-duty trucks, though. I mean, I actually, one year I was out and I saw a dude with an F350 dually King Ranch harvesting, putting fertilizer in his crops.
Mm-hmm.
It does happen. I mean,
but I mean, it's more. It's a sales. It's a flashy name. Yeah. They're getting capability, but they're selling it like you were saying earlier. They're selling a lifestyle, or Tim was saying, you're selling a lifestyle that, like for most of America lives on the East Coast. So we don't know what desert is like out there. So it's exciting to think of, oh man, I could take this thing, jump in a dune or whatever. But for me, when I think of full-size trucks, I don't think if I want a four-wheel drive pickup truck, it's because I need a full-size pickup truck to work. I don't need a full-size pickup truck to go dooning or whatever. Or if I need a full-size F250 for my toy, it's so I can tow my toys somewhere to go have fun. I'm not taking the full-size truck there.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the trimmer package is. That's what Rebelle's doing. I mean, they show the videos. They got a trailer full of four-wheelers. They're going up in the woods, drop four-wheelers off. I mean, I get that stuff. And the skid plates and the 33s on the Rebelle are a smart idea, right? So a little more ground clearance plus ground protection. Yeah. Fuel tank, transfer case are covered. And so I don't mind that per se. I want the imagery to be more realistic. That's I mean, I understand the idea of aspirational things like that and going to desert kind of stuff, but like in Tennessee, right? So Nashville, right? So you get a big thunderstorm, you get a big rainstorms, you get whatever, tornadoes. Show the F250 like going over some trees and some down logs and getting to the site and help, power. It's got power on board now. It's got 2.0 kilowatt power on board. Show it driving over and hooking up lights, a generator or something, and helping out people rebuild their house.
They should have those damn things down in Florida right now.
Oh, I'm sure Ford's working their way of left and right. Ford's got a couple F-150 Lightnings going down there, I'm sure.
Yeah, to me, the Power Boost is such a better application of that.
Yeah. So speaking of that, as we wind this thing down with you, Tim, there, last year you had the Power Boost, which I think you really enjoyed that vehicle. I think it was a pretty good vehicle. You now have the Tundra, the new Tundra, which you've not been. It doesn't seem as like, maybe I'm just what I'm seeing on your channel, doesn't seem to be as much of a popular vehicle, or what's going on with the Tundra?
The views have been outrageously high. I mean, it's been a great business decision. There are some flaws with that truck that I've pointed out probably too many times that need to be addressed. I mean, my seat broke. My weather stripping still not right. I mean, the infotainment system still doesn't work right. And I was talking to Toyota today about it at the show, and they admit that, not they admit, but they're concerned I'm having so many problems with this truck. I mean, I'm on a fourth recall. I'm on a variety of problems. And so I think that truck needs some more work done on it. The team that helped launch that is working on it still. And I kind of, I've got called a bunch of haters, a bunch of names, whatever. But I told them today, I said, look, at the end of the day, it's not about me owning the Tundra. It's that my feedback is helping the next person buy the Tundra later on, maybe a little better, right? So my goal is to give feedback to help that truck be that much better. So I think that truck's getting better. There was definitely some new generation misses that they need to address. I think a mid-cycle refresh is going to do that truck wonders, if not a next year refresh, depending on how things have played out and the supply chain, that kind of stuff. So
are they quick to, so Toyota, like full-size truck is not high on their priority list of sale. I mean, they would like it to be a higher priority, but are they quick to respond to these things, or are they going to be dragging their feet? Like, well,
no, Toyota's responded I mean, I think what's interesting is I think people on the outside look at this stuff and they think, "Oh my God, Tim, you're a Toyota hater now, and your truck sells stuff, whatever." Toyota Engineering, they called me out by name to come out and do some more videos with them. Like they want me to keep doing videos with them. Like Toyota likes the videos I'm doing.
Right.
They like. I mean, they know their truck's got a few flaws, and they like me when I pointed out that's a practical flaw. Like the bumper drives me up a freaking wall, and I've said it many times. And so, I think they're going to be a little bit quicker to make some corrections, just because the truck market's been so hot. I just feel like the engineering team has been so bogged down with Tacoma launch next year that they just don't have the resources to apply to the Tundra to make some changes. I think that's why you're going to see a mid-cycle refresh. So like mid-cycle refresh should happen like in 2025, 24, 25. And so I think when the Tacoma launches, they're going to look at the Tundra and make those changes and do the mid-cycle refresh. It's not a matter of Toyota responding fast. It's that Toyota's like any company. Automakers don't have millions of engineers. They have engineering teams that they pull together to do refreshes that are doing multiple vehicles at once. And so they don't have these massive teams. The bulk of automakers' employees are in the factories. That's the bulk of that's who they have. So I don't think that, I think it'll be quick. I think Toyota's going to adjust. Normally do. They always do good projects. I said that the engineering in that truck has been really solid. I've had no problem engineering wise. The engine's been fine. Transmission's been great. So it's just, there's just a few nagging issues that drive me nuts that they can make quick adjustments to, and the truck would be 9,000 times better.
Right. Well, I mean, I think it was a great improvement over the previous one. Obviously, the last generation V8 was there was never any problems really with that V8. It was nice. Yeah. I know that people have been kind of fickle on well, it's a V6 now. You know, we want the V8, and it's like fuel economy is everything in these vehicles. You've got
emissions
the turbo.
The emissions got cut by 40% by going to 3.5.
Yeah.
And
well, now you've got
massive.
Well, you've got the hybrid option, which is more for power. It's not for fuel economy. That brings it into V8, back into V8 power if you need that. A great truck. Now, you were saying earlier, we know there's a new Tacoma coming. I look for it in 24. It honestly, everything we've seen of spy photos, it looks like a miniature version of that truck. How is the styling with that truck? Is it people? From what I've seen, we're in a lot of similar groups. I've seen a lot of people excited. They like the way the truck looks. Do you think that's going to equate down to the smaller truck?
I think that in certain trim levels, the Tundra looks fine. The Limited does not look good. That probably one of my problems is I probably bought the wrong trim. I should have probably bought a higher trim level because I just can't get past the styling in the Limited. It just looks ugly. I think that's I have an ugly truck. I just think it's ugly. I think I can see them going down the road. I mean, the Sequoia went down the road. We like things to match. A lot of brands make styling matches throughout their lineup. I hope that they keep the trapezoidal grill and keep that idea, and then just add to that the matches. Let's stop the mustache. We don't need that. Because I don't know about you, but the number one modification I see in the Tundra forums is people either do the plastic dip on the mustache, or they take it off and they paint it, or they had send a body shop to paint it. Whatever happens. I mean, I've seen it happen time and time again. I will say I had the TRD Pro Tundra, and it looks so much better. It just from a front end appearance looks a lot better. But I've had people that love the look of the Tundra. I mean, it's one of those things that if you're not controversial when it first launches, then you're behind the times. And I think that's
it's one of those weird trucks that once you add an aggressive looking tire to it, it just completely. I don't know why.
Yeah, it just changes.
It just brings it into fold.
Yeah. It is very interesting how that works.
Well, the thing that is not worrisome to me per se, but that I look at is, Nissan kind of with the Frontier. They had a Titan that's not selling well, and you've kind of made the little truck. They copied the Tacoma a little bit, but there's a lot of that full-size truck in the interior of the new Frontier. You look at the same thing with Toyota now, is you've got a hot sell. Like, you can't sell any more Tacomas than they do now, and you're going to start making it look like the Tundra, which doesn't sell nearly as well. Is there any concern for I see it across the board, all the little trucks seem to want to look like mini clones of the big trucks.
I don't think there's concern on that. I think it's just, designers trying to make the same portfolio match. Like I just think about this. I pulled up the Colorado versus the Silverado, and the Trail Boss is identical in the Colorado as it is in the Silverado 1500. And I think what you're finding is you're seeing designers who want to have a certain look, but they put it across the lineup. Because there's no individual. So the days of individualized trucks being different is kind of gone. They want, when you see a Chevy lineup, you want to see all the Chevy trucks look about the same.
Yeah.
Right. Different sizes.
Because it's all about a sales point, right? It's a price point. If you can't afford the big truck, maybe the smaller truck's a few thousand less, then you get kind of the look you wanted, right?
Yeah. I think you're going to see that time and time again. And it's not, like I said, not automakers being lazy. You can share parts. You're going to save money on overall design and things. You have the same idea. It's easy to do. You put a rubber stamp on it, shrink it down, done, moving on.
But with Toyota, like you're playing with fire because you can't get any hotter selling midsize truck than what they have. Like, do you not?
Toyota is that every time a new midsize truck came out, the Tacoma sales grew.
Yeah.
It was such a bizarre thing. Like, new Jeep Gladiator comes to marketplace. All the Jeep's badass. Look at that Jeep Gladiator. It looks so different, so unique. And Tacoma sales grew. New Colorado and Canyon came out. All of a sudden, Tacoma sales grew. So I only told Toyota, I said, my only hope with the Tacoma is I can get into it without hitting my head. That's my entire goal. Like I hit my head in that truck every single time. And so,
and it's a very Japanese oriented truck.
Yeah. Narrow. So, I mean, that's
I am excited for that. Of course, Toyota is going to have a really good next couple of years. You got a new 4Runner coming. There's no way they're not going to do something cool with that. They're big into off-road. They really like to, they're going to want to keep that and be, proud to, hey, we build the guy that the overland guy wants to buy our vehicles they're going to want to keep that. But
the fun,
I don't know, man, the midsize market started to get kind of murky.
Here's a fun snippet for you. So this weekend, I think the chief engineer and his team is going to one of Overland. No, next week they're going to Overland Expo. They're doing one of the Overland shows. And it was funny because I was talking to the team about that, and the PR team told engineering no, they don't have the budget to send engineering to these off-road shows. And Toyota owns Overlanding Market. They Overland, they own it, right? So the engineers got kind of pissed off, and they pulled their money, and they found enough money for engineering to pay for them to go. So engineering is paying for themselves to go to these shows when PR can't afford it. Because engineering's like, no, we want to go. These are all our fans. So we want to go talk to them and see them and hang out, have a beer. And I mean, that's what they want to do. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that is strange. And then you got companies like GM that are shoving their ZR2 down that it's not a well-known vehicle. Like the little Colorado is not a well-known overlanding truck versus especially Tacoma. And they're spending all this money, throwing all this money at it. Ford's going to with the new Ranger. They're going to shove all this money at that. And then the King of the Hill, and maybe that's why they're the King of the Hill, is they were smart with their money and didn't have to.
Well, at the end of the day, overlanding is about reliability.
Sure. And then maybe it's the Chick-fil-A thing too. If you can't have it when you want it, makes you want it more.
Right. Well, and you're seeing inroads with Bronco. I mean, Bronco's doing a little more overlanding stuff. You're seeing inroads with different brands, but really, it comes down to reliability, and that's going to be a real problem for Toyota moving forward, with more emphasis on small displacement turbos and how much the overlanding crowd is not a fan of small displacement turbos.
Yes,
it's going to be a real interesting battle going on with that, and it'll be interesting how it plays out. I mean, I was thinking about you today because they had a bunch of Broncos at the state fair. I know you've done a lot of success with the Broncos. I know Tim's done a bunch of Bronco stuff, and they had 2 doors from off rodeo. They had 4 doors. They had 4-door with the tops on, and so I was checking those out. And I'm like, what a great vehicle. And I think Ford's going to be hard pressed in the next 5 years to have another Bronco launch like they did.
Well, let's hope they actually get the vehicles, though. If they do have a successful launch, we just hope they actually produce the vehicles.
I was teasing GM today. I was like, so I'm like, you guys, like, Hummer, right? You build what?
Well, I did a story on that
3 a week, and they're like, oh, we build more than that. I said, about 3 a day, right? And they're like, yeah. So you have 90,000 people waiting for a Hummer, and you build 3 a day. Like, I'm no
Yeah.
math genius, but the guy who has the holding the ticket for 90,000 of the list, that dude is screwed. That dude's never gonna get it.
Even so, Roman in that video that I was mentioning earlier talks about that. It's like, we don't know when we're going to get our, where they have a press loan right now, but they're like, we've had a day one reservation, no idea when we're going to get that vehicle. And has GM missed the mark on that? I mean, obviously it was a media splash, but do the audience eventually get tired of waiting? I've definitely seen it with Bronco, where there's the hardcore guy that's going to wait till they get their vehicle and be happy when they get it. But there is I would say 50 to 60% of the audience that do reservations on these vehicles now. They're going to move on to something else. Like, they're just trendy. They're looking for the next trendy, fun vehicle.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I placed my order on my Bronco 3,000 days ago, and I'm still waiting for it. that's what we like.
No, but I did a story on the Hummer, which I was surprised the video didn't do better than it did, because I started looking at. I was curious one day. I was like, I wonder how many they've actually shipped out, because I've seen a few YouTubers getting their Hummers now, and I was like, I'm curious. And then you start looking at it, and then of course GM's having an issue actually making the batteries. I think that's been the biggest hang up on these vehicles and then of course GM, we got a new Cadillac we got to build with that same platform. Oh, we got this new vehicle over here we got to build with the same platform. And you're like, well, if you can only make 300 batteries a day or whatever it is, you're gonna have to choose a vehicle. Like, you can't.
Well, that's because product planning doesn't work with manufacturing.
Yes.
Right. So product planning, you can't slow down product planning. They have to keep moving forward. Manufacturing has figured it out. Manufacturing has not figured it out. And I will tell you, from an automotive press standpoint, for the people I've talked to in automotive press, the Hummer is kind of like hum, because it's just a fantasy vehicle, and it's a 9,000-pound rolling.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, and I'm sorry, but crab walk. What possible scenario would I use that in?
I don't know, in off-roading, and I do a lot of off-roading. I don't know where I would ever use, especially the size of that vehicle. If people have never seen this vehicle in person,
it's huge.
It's as wide as a school bus, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I can tell you that the excitement level is down on motor press, just because nobody's seen it. Nobody can drive it. Nobody can talk about it. There's just no energy behind it.
Well, I know. So I have a Silverado. I mean, part of the appeal of that vehicle was, maybe we'll see that fairly quick, and GM's been all over the map with Silverado now. I don't know when they're going to actually build the EV Silverado.
I mean, I was talking to them today. I have a reservation in, and I was talking to the Chevy today about it, and they're like, and I'm like, frankly, I think it's 2025, 26, 27. I don't think I'm going to see that truck anytime soon. And
I'm honestly probably about to cancel my reservation, because I think by the time now I got it, there's so many EVs on the market that it's not exciting anymore. It's just a normal truck.
And see, that's my fear. That's my fear with EVs, is all those reservations, is the percentage of people turning reservations into actually sold orders. I think it's going to be very low.
Oh, I do too. And I think that, I have a pretty good dealership that kind of gives me a monthly update of, hey, at least they're saying, hey, we haven't heard anything from GM or this and that. And I'm pretty certain, I was thinking about today, that as soon as I get the next update, I'm just going to be like, you know what? I don't have, especially in what we're trying to do here, Tim, and along with what you do, I don't have time to sit there. There's going to be another new vehicle out that's going to be hotter. Either it's the Ranger or, and I know you do one vehicle kind of a year for you. I'm maybe every 2 years. I don't have the budget that some of the other guys do. And I can't sit there and hold on, hoping, man, this is the year for this vehicle. And then, like you were saying earlier, it's over. Like, there's so many of them now.
You learned that lesson with the Bronco. Your Bronco came so late, but by the time you got to do videos on it, it was kind of late.
Yeah, it was over. Yeah. Yeah, no, my video where I picked it up did well, and then after that, not a big peep out of those. So,
Dave, you need to start wearing a thong when you're doing your videos. And
well, I'll work on that, Tim. Okay,
they will pick up.
Definitely will work on that.
Yep.
So Tim, last question. What in the truck world, what's the excitement right now? Where is the excitement? Where can an audience be like, oh man, I'm waiting for this one, or is there a truck out right now that they should jump to?
I'm trying to buy the one I'm buying. I'm trying to buy Silverado 3-liter diesel with the LZ0.
Yeah.
And I understand the excitements for EVs, but damn, that LZ0 gets 26, 27 miles per gallon. I can get 500, 600 miles of range. Yes, it's diesel. It's more to fill up. I get that, but I got better fuel economy than I do gas by far. And the towing power is great. Offline acceleration is great. It's quiet. I mean, it's not the loud diesel. It's still a diesel sound, but it's not the diesel's old. You can order drive-through fast food. I mean, you can at least, drive it around without having to blow your eardrums out. And that's the truck I'm trying to buy. And it's just sad right now because the energy level in the industry is not around that truck. And it's just disappointing because I think it's the best GM powertrain I've seen in decades. And I just don't, I get it. I understand diesel is a bad word in the United States. I understand people hate this kind of thought, but my goodness, like if you're talking about lower emissions, like some of the diesels now get near zero emissions. You can get renewable diesel fuel at certain places that even burns less emissions. I mean, it's like, why can't we have more choices? And I'll be one of the last who's driving that truck, and I'll probably, drive it and maybe a dud because everything's going EV and everything's going that way, but I don't know. I feel like that's where I'm going to stake my flag is more of the diesel and they kind of set up in the half ton. Now we have just one, right? EcoDiesel went away. Ford PowerStroke 3-liter diesel went away. It's unfortunate because I think that there's a lot of good benefits there. And yeah, I'll be the one of the last people doing it. And everything else is like getting to be small displacement turbos. It's going to be, and I'm sorry, small displacement turbos, I never can get the fuel economy out of them. I try. If I drive certain ways, I can get it, but yeah.
Well, the thing with the small diesel, it was every fanboy wanted it till the manufacturers, and I was worried about this. The manufacturers actually started building them, and then nobody bought them.
Well, yeah, I mean the 3-liter EcoDiesel is I think a mistake by Ram. They were trying to clear the way for the battery electric because they have no capacity to build more trucks than what they have capacity for. They killed it too early, and I just feel like by the time the Ram truck comes out, it's gonna be a little bit late to the game. And I just don't know that I think there's a lot of energy and excitement right now for battery electric full-size trucks.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a lot from the traditional truck crowd. I think it's a lot from early adopters, which is great. Grow the marketplace bigger. But I'm kind of waiting for the energy to die down a little bit. Like let's be practical and realistic about EVs. EVs work for a lot of consumers. They work for a lot of consumers in a lot of cases. They're a little bit more difficult to live with. They're a little bit more of a learning curve, a little bit more stuff going on with them. But let's not throw in the towel and everything gas at the moment. Let's slow down a little bit and let's actually listen to consumers. And because I just maybe I'm being foolish, but I just can't believe that we have 98% of consumers want a battery electric, because that's what's going to take, right? So look at the Rivian. I've looked at Rivian reviews. I've looked at Lightning reviews. Those guys are trading in their Teslas for Rivians and Lightnings. Well, that's not going to work, folks. It's not going to work if you're trading in your Tesla for another EV vehicle. We need to get more people buying EVs.
It's not the market that's pushing that. It's the government. It's government.
It's government and automakers. Automakers have pledges. Like the automakers don't give a crap about the government. Like automakers are making pledges to be 2035. They're making their own numbers up. Ram today was like, by 2030 we're gonna have EVs. By 2035 we're gonna have fully electric in the lineup. I mean, every automaker I've talked to in the past 2 years are making their own statements. They're like California. They're just making their own statements. And then globally, right? So Ram's trying to go global. Chevy's gone global. They have stuff in the Middle East, and Ford's gone more global. And so they're going to stop making powertrains for the United States only and build a global marketplace. I mean, the reality is China is the world's largest automotive market. It just flat out is. And China is pushing more EVs as a country, which means automakers on a global scale are looking at going, hey, China's doing it, and Europe's doing it, and the US is doing it, then we have to do it. So you can blame the government, but you got to blame all the governments at once because it's all governments doing it.
Well, at some point though, Ford came out. Ford came out and said that they're hey, we're not doing away with the big engines. They said, hey, it came out, I think it was 2 weeks ago, they came out with a press release saying, hey, don't worry, big engines are still for our big trucks. We're not doing away with it. I think you start seeing reviews. I know TFL did one. There's been other channels now getting their hands on F-150 Lightnings that you try to tow the thing, and it just can't do it. And I don't think it can ever do it, to be honest. I don't see unless you like quadruple the power that a battery pack can hold, it's never gonna be efficient to tow. And for trucks, I understand, like you were saying, the Tesla guys jump into Rivian or they want the F-150 Lightning. Those are fanboys of tech. They're not truck people. Yeah. And at some point, I don't care what small thing you put behind that vehicle, it's going to kill the range of that vehicle. And we had the channel Coder Man on here, and he was talking about it, that he towed something. He lives, where's he at, Tim? He's in somewhere on the East Coast.
Massachusetts.
But that's right. He's from Boston. And he went to Philadelphia and had to tow a small motorcycle or something back, and his range just died in that thing, in that new F-150. And I mean but that's the cool thing. I remember having RC cars. I'm sure everybody's had a little RC car as a kid.
You tape a brick battery RC car, and what do you got?
Yeah, super fast for 15 minutes. All of a sudden, you're like, "Mom, the battery's dead."
Yeah,
and Mom's like, "Well, batteries are too expensive."
I was surprised today to hear the Ram CEO talk about hydrogen and heavy duty trucks. Somebody asked him, they're like, "When are we going to have battery electric heavy duty trucks?" And he says, "I don't think we're ever going to have it."
Well, I think Toyota's been a big hydrogen. Like, hey, we'll do an EV-ish, but no, Toyota's put a lot of money in hydrogen.
And Ram is starting to follow suit too in the heavy duty segment. They're like, we can't do a heavy duty battery electric. It doesn't work. Like, they're like, we can't do it. But hydrogen is actually kind of probable because you can fill up fast. You can have a tank you empty. You can use it up. So I was surprised.
And what's the byproduct of hydrogen?
Water vapors.
Water. Yep. Yeah.
And,
I mean, here's that right there. If you're looking at this purely from a ecological standpoint, EVs are no better than gas because of what it takes to make the electricity. But if you're using
and Bronco 78's got a great point. Can you imagine Florida right now, the problems they're having being majority EV?
Yeah.
Well, my EV friends would argue with that statement a lot, and I've argued with those guys quite a bit. I mean, so their statement is a gas pump still need electricity to pump the gas. And I'm like, that's fine, but I can put gas in a 10-gallon drum and put it in my garage and fill up my car. It's faster. And so, and then the reverse side of that, you can use an EV to power your house. So there's power out in Naples, Florida right now. If you had an EV that had a full charge, you could actually power up your air conditioning and your hot lights, and you could be okay. Your house would be fine
for a couple of days.
I don't think you could.
Again, you can. I mean, there's so many argument points on this back and forth.
Swamp
and I
cooler,
understand
maybe,
that. And I told him, I said, look, I had a power boost. Power went out. I powered my my lights and a heater in my house because a small.
I remember you text me about that. You were all excited
because I was like, the power was out. I was like, it was a cool video. It's like, but I'm like, people get so excited about the Lightning EV and it has power to the house. I'm like, the power boost can do that. The power boost has done it for years. The F250 has 2.0 kilowatts of power, not very much. But if you needed to run a couple lamps, you want to run a space heater in your house and the power was out, you could do that with 3/4 ton. You don't absolutely have to go full EV to have that same byproduct.
Yeah, well, it's definitely, I mean, it's an argument for the ages. You're not going to, till we maybe get a third option, you're just never going to know. It's just going to be, well, gas versus EV. And they both have their pluses. I mean, I can go to a gas station in 10 minutes, fuel up, go 400 more miles, do the same thing. EV to do that, you're probably 3 or 4 more stops. Yeah. And a lot of people make the argument, well, maybe as a culture, we need to slow down. But that's not how, I can't, Tesla's working on semis. I don't have time to go. I've got friends that go from Nashville, Tennessee to LA twice a week. That does not work in that situation. You can't stop that. And trains can't do it alone. And trains work on diesel. You just, it's a never ending argument.
Didn't go with EVs. There's a big reason for that. They just, I don't know. It's what I get tired of is I get the backlash, people saying, well, everything's EV these days. Stop covering that. I'm like, but you go to an auto show and 50% of the vehicles on the floor now are EVs.
Yeah.
So if you don't cover EVs, you don't have anything to cover. Like there's no other like a thing in the corner that's not that I need to go cover, because everything these days, every press launch you go to, every media event I go to, half of the vehicles are EVs.
Well,
Truck
Mama today had the big EV thing up in Chicago that I was going to go to, and then I was like, no, that's like pulling. I might as well have all my teeth pulled because that sounds horrible.
Well,
But
you're gonna come to Texas Truck Rodeo. There's gonna be a variety of EVs there.
Jeep's gonna have all their 4xe there.
Yeah, every event you go to these days, there is a massive influx of EVs every event.
But you know, it's so last thing, I know you got to go, Tim. So last year we did the truck rodeo, and they had the Wrangler 4xe, and Jeep was real proud of that thing. And you know how much electric driving I got to do on that? None, because by the time the press event was over, there was no range left in that thing.
Mm-hmm.
It drove like shit. I hate the regenerative braking. I know you can play with that to make it work less or more. It was just awful. And I was one of the last ones to get it that day. And I was like, what am I testing here? It's dead other than the gas engine in the thing. And I guarantee you they'll have a Grand Cherokee there. You know, they're going to have all those. And by the time because I have little interest in wanting to be in those, honestly, but by the time I get into it to test it, they're dead. I'm just driving a normal gasoline powered vehicle.
Yeah. I mean, I drove the 4xe off road, and it was EV mode only when I had top down kind of stuff, and it was a Wrangler, and it was just weird. It's a weird sensation, and I get people want to talk about torque. You know, my friends are like, oh, it's so much torque and all that kind of stuff. Well, I've never been off road where I've been like, gosh darn it, I wish I had more torque.
Yeah,
like I don't. There's not a need for that. And here's the deal: when I go off roading and it's quiet, you know what I call that? I call that hiking.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, it's there's nothing like, I don't know. I have heard to the grapevine, I need to confirm this, is that I've heard quite a few 4xe owners have traded their 4xes for normal Wranglers.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen multiple YouTube channels that want to be early into that tech that suddenly ditch them real quick because, for one, it's not proven tech, it's a little quirky, and yeah, but at the end of the day, you know, what is it, 20 miles or something actual EV use, which is honestly is a joke. I mean, to be honest, like if you want to use your Wrangler as a commuter and you're like, oh, I'm going to do the world a favor, I'm going to charge this at night, it's going to be cheaper. Most people, you know, that I know work 30 to 40 miles away from their house. Mm-hmm. So what are you doing? Like, you're going to plug it in at work? Well, most companies I've seen maybe have a charger.
Yeah.
And half the time
they're like, it's quiet. I'm like, it's a Wrangler. Yeah. Nothing about the Wrangler shape is quiet.
You give me the 392 all day long over that 4xe.
I mean, Wrangler is just, I mean, aerodynamic profile is loud. There's nothing about it. I mean, and the 4xe is quiet for the engine, but the Wrangler is still loud.
Yep. Well, Tim, I appreciate you being on here, jumping on last minute like this, buddy. I will see you in a couple days, and we will have some whiskey together. We better have some whiskey together.
Oh, I was in Louisville, and it was killing me because I was on Bourbon Row, is that they call it, or Bourbon Street, or whatever the deal is. I was thinking the Omni, downtown Louisville, right there with Bourbon Row right there. And I had
did you go to the district? Did you see the 4th district?
I had 2 drinks in the hotel, and I said, nope, I'm going to bed.
That little district area looks fun, though.
But I knew if I walked out of the hotel, went down the Bourbon District, I would not be back to my room until like 4 in the morning. And I had to film next day. And I was like, I can't do it. But I went I'll tell you this last story. I flew out of the airport, and in the airport in Louisville was this a bunch of bourbon everywhere, right? Bourbon whiskeys, like a deal. Yeah. And they had a store. It was like a bourbon warehouse store. And you looked in there, and it was bottles of whiskey and T-shirts and hats and coffee cups, all bourbon stuff. And I was like, you know what? I will take this. Can I fit all of this in my suitcase? Here's my Amex card. Give me all of it. And I was like, no. Get on the plane. So I went and got on the plane, and I was like, because I told myself, when the kids are older, the wife and I have time, we're gonna go to Louisville, and I am gonna be just hungover for like 3 days because it is.
Well, have you been to Jack Daniel's yet?
No, I saw. No, I haven't. I haven't been to any of that stuff.
Dude, the next time you're in Nashville, save me a day, and I will drive you to Jack Daniel's. And it's this little podunk town that you would never suspect would be a major a distiller.
Speaking of Nashville, I will be there on on the 12th, 13th. Yeah. Something like that.
What, of next month?
October, yeah.
What are you going to be in town for?
Toyota's doing a Crown, a Highlander Turbo, and some car thing.
I got to get in with Toyota, man. They have these things in my backyard, and then no.
Well, you like the Bengals. That's a problem for you. So they just, Toyota's
well, I'll root for the Texans if that helps.
Right.
Whatever Japanese baseball team I need to go for, I will root for them.
Okay, I gotta go to bed because it's been a long.
All right. Well, we're gonna end this whole show while we're at it. Thank you to Mr. Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Obviously, he's a big channel. We appreciate him being on. Yep. I'm sure you guys all watch it, but if not, go check out his channel. And if Bronco Santa needs a couple views, couple subs, so go over there to Overlanding for Fun.
Absolutely.
Check out
Subscribe.
Tim's channel, and he's going to short you to death right now, though. So Tim is the king of shorts right now. So whether it be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, it does not matter what you drive. This is your all-terrain nation, and I'm out. Peace.